Everybody in this country that believes in this country traditionally have always been mates, mates of each other. We don't determine in this country colour or anything else. We accept those that follow our customs and beliefs, assimilate into our society, or we invite them to do the opposite. Get out and go home. Because if you're not going to follow this country, get out and go home. We don't want you. We want people who are our mates, who strive to uphold and look after everything that we want, everything that we need, and everything that should be given to us through our Constitution. It is not a politician's Constitution, it belongs to us. The heading is the greatest fraud, and the greatest fraud was committed by political parties masquerading as a government. And as time goes on, they've masqueraded and masqueraded and pulled the biggest fraud on the Australian people. The other day I was given a heap of documents, and those documents were very good. They explained a lot of things, and I refer them to this. The Commonwealth Constitution Act 1900 UK that was proclaimed and gazetted on the 1st of January 1901. And the effects of the proclamation of that was it turned the colonies to states by way of 107, 108 and 109. 106 allows the states to continue their constitutions subject to this, and the Constitution derived from it. This is an enabling act, regardless of what anybody says it is, calls it whatever they want. An act of the British Parliament, yes, on the request of the people from this country through the draft copy of our Constitution. So if you've been promoting, oh, it's only a British Act, and that's what you are trying to put over, you're a nutter and a traitor to this country. Wake up to what you're doing. This is the enabling act which enables us to have a constitution. How? In the same text as this. So when you produce the green one, you committed blatant treason on the people. Because if you were serving us, you wouldn't have put that piece of nonsense in there. Is it nonsense? What does it contain? I've read it. It is not the same as a red one. So, particular people who said that, I'm not going to keep hounding you. You know who you are. You misled and deceived the people. Now, this is the problem. And it's all in the Constitution. And this is how the fraud was committed. Why? It'll come available in a sec. In chapter 6, the Parliament may admit to the Commonwealth or establish new states, and may upon such admission or establishment make or impose such terms and conditions, including the extent of representation in either house of the Parliament, as it thinks fit. 121. 122. The Parliament may make laws for the government of any territory surrendered by any state to and accepted by the Commonwealth, or of any territory placed by the Queen under the authority of and accepted by the Commonwealth, or otherwise acquired by the Commonwealth, and may allow the representation of such territory in either house of the Parliament to the extent and on the terms which it thinks fit. That's 122. 123. The Parliament of the Commonwealth may, with the consent of the Parliament of a state, listen to that, remember that, and the approval of the majority of the electors of the state, voting upon the question. And the question is, increase, diminish, or otherwise alter the limits of the state upon such terms and conditions as may be agreed on, and may, with the like consent, make provision respecting the effect and operation of the increase or diminution of alteration of territory in relation to any state affected. In short, to understand what I just said, it is the business of the state. You can request it from federal parliament if we had one. I say that because I've been over it. There is no lawful federal parliament, and that's going to become evident. 124. A new state may be formed by a separation of territory from a state, but only with the consent of the parliament thereof back to that state. And a new state may be formed by the union of two or more states or parts of states, but only with the consent of the parliaments of the state. Nothing to do with the federal parliament. Nothing. Now, the next one, 125. The seat of government of the Commonwealth shall be determined by the Parliament and shall be within territory which shall have been granted to or acquired by the Commonwealth, and shall be vested in and belong to the Commonwealth, and shall be in the state of New South Wales and be distant not less than 100 miles from Sydney. That's got to be outside the 100 miles. Such territory shall contain an area of not less than 100 square miles, and such portion thereof as shall consist of Crown lands shall be granted to the Commonwealth without any payment thereof. It's talking about 100 square miles. Now, the Parliament shall sit in Melbourne until it meets at the seat of government. The Queen may authorise the Governor-General to appoint any person or any persons, jointly or severally, to be his deputy or deputies with any part of the Commonwealth, and in that capacity to exercise during the pleasure of the Governor-General such powers and functions of the Governor-General as he thinks fit, to assign to such deputy or deputies subject to any limitations expressed or directions given by the Queen, but the appointment of such deputy or deputy shall not affect the exercise by the Governor-General himself of any power or function. In reckoning the numbers of the people of the Commonwealth or of a state or other part of the Commonwealth, Aboriginal natives or natives shall not be counted at that time. They were not in the documents, and that's it. They were recognised by state constitutions, and they had restrictions on how they dealt with them. That was what took place. Now, they are recognised, and they're totally accepted by 1967. Now, this is the clanger. You see, in August 1902, New South Wales, which is the state concerned in relation to the seat of government, removed its original constitution in direct contempt of the Constitution, 106. They replaced it with another one. Did that happen? Did we have evidence of that? It was hard to find, and in some cases almost impossible. And the big problem we have is there wasn't any referendums. So a state is a group of people in the designated area. So New South Wales, you didn't have a referendum to give up the area for the Australian Capital Territory or the seat of government. Moreover, seat of government was to be in Canberra. They called the Australian Capital Territory. I don't know if that was lawful. It wasn't, given the circumstances. Now, New South Wales never existed after it breached 106 and removed its constitution, put another one in its place. The evidence of that is the recent decision of the purported New South Wales Parliament, which isn't one, but you've got to understand or comprehend, if there was no lawful state constitution in New South Wales, there was no constituted state of New South Wales. So there is no Canberra. Why? Simply, They knew all along when they decided the magistrates were all going to be judges to lift their esteem. They're not judges. Frank McEllisson, UCC is now standing in power. Now it's all done last week. Crap, lies. No, I don't know where you got that from. Stop putting that nonsense on here. This is in relation to they can't sign anything. Wake up. What I'm talking about, there is no federal parliament. Stop looking at what they've done because it doesn't exist. Late 70s and early 80s, who cares? It's still wrong. Doesn't matter what the politicians do. Listen to what I'm saying. Western Australia never put its constitution in place. They put one with 32 sections missing. New South Wales in August 1902 removed their constitution and replaced it with another one. Where are the 6 states to produce the first federal parliament? There wasn't one. New South Wales just added to the problem. When they made their magistrates judges, they altered and interfered with the provisions of 106. But they also stated in that decision, they call it, that it was added to the 1902 Constitution of New South Wales. There wasn't one. You've got to go back before Federation to the original Constitution of New South Wales. What were you granted by the Constitution? 106 says this, at Federation, the states can retain their constitutions, subject to the Commonwealth Constitution, and altered in accordance with the Constitution, stating that the method of alteration was contained in that Constitution. But Queen Victoria didn't like that. She didn't like that, so she made them letters patent. So if you didn't comply with 106 and retain your constitutions, subject to the Commonwealth one, every alteration had to go to her for a signification. Why? Because only the monarch can change a letters patent. Same goes with the Commonwealth Constitution. You can go through every little document you like, but a letters patent means only the monarch can change it or alter it. You want to alter it according to 106, fine. Still must go to the reigning monarch. Her or his representative? No. The reigning monarch. Don't play with the law and think you're going to get around it. Because here in front of me is where New South Wales played with it. An act to provide for the surrender of territory in connection with the seat of government of the Commonwealth and to ratify and confirm an agreement for that and other purposes. 14th of December 1909. You didn't have a parliament. When you changed the constitution of your state, you never had a parliament to make this act. You didn't. Whereas by the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act, it is provided that the seat of government of the Commonwealth shall be determined by the Parliament and shall be within territory which shall have been granted to or acquired by the Commonwealth. And whereas the Commonwealth, that is a misconception of what the Constitution says. I just read it to you. Doesn't say what they're saying. And who can make that? It wasn't talking about the Commonwealth Parliament because it was never established. And it wouldn't matter if it did. It needed permission of the people of that state. Did they have a referendum? No. It would be one of the most important referendums in the history of this country. The establishment of the seat of government. Did it happen? No. Did you get permission from the people? No. So who is the state? The people. When the colonies become states, the colonies were not the parliament, they were the people. And the Commonwealth is the people. It's the commonwealth of the people. understand or comprehend that it was treason from day dot, and that's what they wanted. An act to amend the Seat of Government Surrender Act 1909 and for the purpose to ratify and confirm an agreement between the Commonwealth of Australia and the State of New South Wales and for other purposes ascended to the 18th of December 1923. Good, dream on. Dream on. It's just another act, and it's just another pretense of the authority that they didn't have. They didn't do it. We do not have a lawful seat of government. You do not have it. Can we have it? Yes. You have to. All these people who say, oh, 1973, 1974, that's all right. You can say it all you like. But is that when all of this happened? No. It happened at Federation, where the states had already decided. How do I know that? 1904, New South Wales filed in the High Court to be able to tax the people because they knew the tax was invalid. Tax your land. Again, invalid. 1923, they tried it again, New South Wales. And then, in 1998, the natives tried to use native title, which didn't exist and can't exist. And I'm not saying that disrespectfully. I'm saying, listen to what I got to say. Because until we have a lawful parliament, we have nothing. Does Aboriginal law apply? No, because they don't have a set law. Different tribes had different laws, different rules, laws, whichever way you like it, that they live by. And believe me, they're a lot stricter than the ones that are applied to us. They're swift, precise, and deal with the problems concerned. When they were offered by Whitlam to go under tribal law, they didn't want it because they looked at it and decided, Barleys, we don't want that. It's too severe. They wanted the ability to manipulate the law. Fine. All of that is subject to something else. What I'm dealing with right now is the fact that we did not ever have a lawful federal parliament. So there was no application from the federal parliament. They couldn't make one until they become lawful, and they weren't. New South Wales knew it. They knew they were removed and changed their state constitution. The only authority for their parliament to exist was under that state constitution, the original one, not the one they're playing with now. That is a fraud. The greatest fraud committed is right there, right across the face of all the people, right smack in your face. I don't care if you don't like me, you don't like what I say, you think I'm wrong. It's in the Constitution. I read it to you. Where was a referendum under 123 for the state of New South Wales to give up the area to the Commonwealth? There wasn't one. And 123 demands that that is the case, and it never happened. Why? Because it's easier to lie than hold a referendum. And that's exactly what they did. Now they just manipulate it. Oh, it wasn't carried. It isn't carried. No one's carrying it. It's the will of the people determine it. Determine the result of a referendum. That's why I'm so adamant in relation to local government. It never existed at Federation in the way they say. It didn't work the way they say. The local government, before Federation, as Anne Twomey puts it, it always existed. Yes, but not in the sense she says. Why? Because she's been taught a load of nonsense, or repeats a load of nonsense, or straight out lies. She's got to determine that. She's never come out, and she won't listen, doesn't want to talk to me, doesn't want to know what acts I've got, and I've got heaps of them. Heaps of law that state what I'm saying is correct. And what the trolls are saying is nonsense. You see, Rob Sudi puts a lot of stuff on here. And he criticises a lot of people. the free man delusion, it is a delusion because when you keep voting for politicians in political parties, you're deluded to think that they're going to give you your freedom. They're not. They are not giving you one piece of freedom. They're enslaving you and you don't want to see it. It isn't that you can't, it's that you don't want to. And it's time you woke up. Going into this election, you cannot vote for anybody for the federal parliament. People have tried to cause trouble between Rod Cullerton and myself and other people saying this, that and the other. I don't like this, I don't like that, I've caused this. No, I do not. I do not confer with one political party. You've got some brilliant minds sitting there being stifled by the threats and control process of political parties. Look at Pauline Hanson. She said to Cullerton, after he was kicked out of the parliament, she said, everybody in my political party will do what I tell them. What has she just told you? They don't have the authority to follow the will of the people. They've got to do what she says. For that reason, she's wrong. For that reason. Listen to her people she's got working for them. Have they got good ideas? Yes. Do they bother to stand up in Parliament? Yes. But it still goes back to their being controlled. We don't have to be controlled. If you want to take the guns away from people that are being unlawfully used, go for it under laws for good government. But do not disarm the people because you don't have the authority. And any law you create for the purpose of doing that is a nonsense. It's not a law. That's why you're getting the police to make rules and regulations. No, if you're a police officer and you're in that position, I'm only going to tell you once. You are, and I promise you, heading to jail. You are committing a fraud on the people, and you know fraud vitiates everything. You're taught it. If you can't see it, your problem. But you try administering an unlawful act, which is what you are all doing, you will go to jail. That's a promise. And you clowns that fired on the people in Victoria, you're all going to jail. You're all going to jail. There was no aggression from those people to fire rubber bullets that did damage, bruise people. That's assault. You had no right to, and to follow an order from an idiot, a brain-dead maggot of a bloke, to fire on the people, that is insanity. Now getting back to the election, the letter I put out was simple, precise, and to the point. You either follow it or you ignore me and you give this country away. Do I have the answer to everything? No. But I do have inside my head enough ability to teach you. You go there and you put I, Wayne Kenneth of the Family Glue, attended at your polling booth. There's your attendance to vote in this election on this date. You've complied with the law because you've attended there. The onus then is on the law to produce lawful candidates. If they come from political parties, their allegiance is to the political party and you can't vote for them. I don't care if it's Madison King. I like her attitude and her guts and her ability to stand up and call a spade a spade. But she's got to get out of the political parties. You walk in that political party, you're walking into fraud and treason. Sorry, that's how it is. You still can walk out of it. You can walk out of it. There are no such things as preference. If I vote for you, I prefer you. I do not prefer what some idiot sitting in an office says I prefer. The only reason they're doing that, they used to get $5 or $6 a vote. Now they get, I believe, 10. I'm not sure on that figure. For every person who votes. The political party gets it. They're not the candidates. If you're a candidate, you're supposed to get it. Are you going to get it? No, you're not. And that is the problem. You're not. You're not getting it. They're stealing from you. But the only question is, you've got to put the point to them in the letter after you put your name and the fact you attended. There were no lawful candidates because there isn't. Doesn't matter if you're independent. You cannot select yourself. You have to put your application to the governor of the state. So I showed you the law. You must do it that way, and the governor runs the state elections, not some foreign company that Dodgy Roger and Mark McGowan, who's just as dodgy, decided you had to have. I mean, why would anyone listen to McGowan? He was a laughing stock of the whole world when he was teaching English to a lady who spoke English, to translate it into her language, which was English. What sort of a moron would do that? The whole world laughed at him. What an idiot. And now he says, oh, don't vote for this person, don't vote for that. Come on, wake up. Stop listening to clowns. Get rid of the loonies. We need people selected who are going into our parliament to represent you, me, the 27 million people that make up the Commonwealth. Doesn't matter what colour. And you cannot touch the Electoral Act. The Immigration Act. You cannot touch it. I know what you're doing, Albo. Everybody knows that you are fudging the figures by bringing people in and swearing them in. But what you haven't realised, and I haven't brought up, in 1973 when Gough Whitlam changed the Immigration Act and backdated it to 1948, good year that's when I was born, he negated the act, the whole act. Cooker. Yeah, Rebecca, thanks. Rebecca. Satanism is for cool kids. Yeah, we are the satanic panic. Oh, yeah, right. You are maybe, I don't know. North Streams is a king. Yeah, right. I'm not even going to discuss who you are. I'm just going to wipe you off my Facebook. What you're saying is crap. Get it off. You take it off or I will and block you. Now, getting back to the problem. The problem is the only question that the Parliament or any person in authority can come back with if you submit the letter the way I say is simply, why not? Why don't we have lawful candidates? You'll be the GM. Yeah, right. Adam Madison. No, please don't put that language on there. Everybody can see who she is. Just leave it for a minute. You stumble upon two trolls. Yeah, keep going. Anyway, let's get it. We need to vote the way I said. You attend there, you cannot vote for anyone there. If you do, you vote for treason. You broke, you vote for the fraud. David Ann, you grow up, you moron. Will you stop putting derogative things on here? Everyone has an opinion. I don't like what she's saying and I'll deal with her in a minute. But in private, I can't help it if she doesn't know what she's talking about. Yeah, well, take all that garbage off. This is about voting. They're sick. The game is over. The game's over, all right, but not where you think. Anyway, the game is not over. All right, you've had your fun. Lol, lol, lol. I don't think of anybody. I do what I do, that Liz Stanton. I put what the Constitution says in decisions of the High Court that determine those that the Constitution is clear. I can't believe you're focusing on me. Good on you, Lee. I don't care. Our Constitution is the supreme law. It is the supreme law. I've never seen it. Well, Rebecca, this is the Constitution. That's the correct Constitution. It is the correct one. Yeah. All right. Get back to the thing. The point is, and I'm not interested in you, Rebecca. Will you take that garbage down, please? If you don't, I'll wipe it in a minute. I sent you a 2-hour video to watch, Wayne, with the UCC filing in the US. Yeah, okay. But this is not about what you are doing. This is about the fact that we've never had a lawful federal parliament. You don't have a seat of government. You don't. Because it wasn't done lawfully. I just read it to you out of your Constitution. Wake up, people. These people that are coming on here are really going full bore because they want me to stop. No, you're not going to. These people are clowns. They make me laugh. But so, that's okay. I'm not interested in what you're doing or what you're saying. I will take it all off. It's going to the bin where it belongs. Nothing you say can come against what I'm doing. And whether you like it or not, you're not going to get your own way. Anyway, who cares? Get to the truth. I'm going to ignore the Rebecca Atkinson with her dribble, and I wish you to listen and take it off. You think you're funny? You're not. You're being stupid, and you're not going to win. You are not going to win. We are. And we are if we vote and get these clowns out. And you've given it away. So you identify as a dog. No, it doesn't matter what you identify as. The law apparently says you can do what you like. All right. The system is we have a constitution. That constitution has to be complied with. It isn't. Not now and not any other time. We don't have a seat of government. There was no referendum in New South Wales because I am ignoring them, Dave. I'm just reading some of the garbage this person is putting up because her mental capacity is very little. So, but don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. The fact of the matter is this election is very important and they know it. There is not one thing in this country owned by an exterior country that actually belongs to them. I don't care how much money they paid the political parties because they didn't go to the people. The only thing we can do as a people is if you drive a gas truck or you work on gas works, shut it down. Am I asking you to break the law? No. You can't break the law when you're stopping a crime. You have that right to stop the crime. And that's how it's going to be. You have the authority. One lunatic raving on my posts does not stop the crime, doesn't open it up, doesn't know half the... Yeah. I'm just reading some of the garbage put out by that person. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, this is our chance to vote. Get rid of the garbage. The airstrip south of Port Hedland, down below Karratha, has to be removed. The deep port, destroyed. It's not theirs. They can't have it. They can't own it. They do not have the lease on Darwin Harbour. Why? Because there's no lawful way they could get it. There was no one to give it to them. And the one person who signed it over lacked that ability. The one person who leased the Meriden in Western Australia, the Meriden Airport, to the Chinese for 100 years, had no authority to do it. None. None at all. So can they use it? No. That was a fraud. You don't understand, and nor does this Rebecca Clown, if they broke the law to achieve something, it is a fraud. Fraud is a maxim of law. It vitiates everything or wipes it out at inception. Wipes it out at inception. And I'm not giving it a platform, thanks Shirley. What I'm doing is I'm destroying what these people are saying. That's why they're so out to try and stop me saying. But the fact of the matter is, this is not the only video I'm going to do. And it's not. I'm going to continue right up until I see Albanese and every member of the political parties that tries to push their nonsense behind bars. Why? Because I can. What I'm revealing to you is serious criminal offences committed by people saying they represent you when they don't. Overturning decisions of our Constitution. I did, in fact, refer several times to a statement by Michael Kirby. Michael Kirby said no Parliament by preambular assertion can speak an authority into being when none exists in law. A friend of mine put it up on his posts. Scotty Barr. If you look at it, you'll read it and you'll find out you can get whatever you want. Scotty put the case, one of the cases up there that said it. Kirby said it several times and he was correct. You cannot speak an authority into being. It has to be granted by our Constitution. How do we know that? The Constitution says so. Not all enactments of the Parliament are valid, only those made pursuant to the Constitution. It's as simple as that. They don't exist except for that. And if they're made outside the authority of the Constitution, they're a nullity. We do not have to take it to court. The Attorney General of Western Australia, whichever one decided, we had to fight it in court and prove it didn't exist, was lying. They have to prove their law. They can't. The fact that they got control of the High Court using the 1979 High Court Act proves a fraud. Another fraud. Everything done outside the Constitution is a fraud and proves that fraud. And that person who thought they come on here and they ridicule me, understand this. You're interfering in something that you don't understand, you're fiddling with. And you will pay the penalty for that. Not from me, by the person who enacts revenge. And that's not me. So if you're thinking of saying I threaten you, I'm not. I'm promising you, based on the law, and it is law, that you will pay for what you're doing. You understand that? You can sit there and laugh and try and ridicule me. I'm just giving you a message telling you you will pay for what you're doing. The destruction of this country... David Anthony, is the IQ test for the police academy being lowered so they don't get intelligent people that challenge the system? No, they get the teaching not to do it. They get the teaching to follow orders. Whatever else, I don't know. I haven't been there for a long time, and quite frankly, now I wouldn't go in. Yeah, thanks, Michael. I can't do any of that. What it's about is revealing the fact that New South Wales never had a referendum to give the federal parliament the authority to take over the area they want for the seat of government. They never gave it to them. If so, produce a referendum. But you couldn't call a referendum in that state because you didn't have a lawful government from August 1902 when you removed your authority. You did it. And put a document that was a fraud in its place. That's called the state constitution for New South Wales. You understand that? You did it. New South Wales does not exist under a lawful state constitution, therefore does not exist under the Commonwealth Constitution. Its only authority to have a parliament is under 106 on the placing of the state constitution subject to the Commonwealth one, and you've never done it. And the acts you passed to give yourself authority, absolute fraud. Absolute fraud. Comprehend what I'm saying. There is no lawful candidates for this election. Doesn't matter how you go about it now. You've got to get rid of that, the whole election, and put an election in where the people select one person for the Senate, one person for the House of Representatives. That's who you're representing. You're not representing political parties. There is no opposition. Controlled opposition or any opposition? No, none. You cannot oppose the will of the people. If the politicians are doing their job, they're putting forward our will. If they're not representing the people, they're putting the will of their political parties, which is what they've been doing. Why do you feel the need to question what they're doing? If you find they're sitting there unlawfully, we have the right to file into the federal court in criminal jurisdiction against those people. Not for. They're not doing the job they're paid for. It's fraud. Comprehend that. It's a serious offence. And if a political party does it, they're conspiring to commit fraud. 42 of the Crimes Act. You think Queensland doesn't exist either. None of them exist. And you're correct, Adam. They removed their upper house. They don't exist. No state exists. None of them. They're all unlawful. And as for Victoria, telling Queen Victoria that they will have the constitution they want, they never got what they wanted because they couldn't. Do you have a lawful constitution produced by Queen Victoria and given to you prior to Federation? Yes. It was put in place on the 29th of October 1900. Every single state was, and it continued subject to our Constitution. You cannot change it or alter it in any way without the signature of the reigning monarch. Have all the monarchs upheld it? Absolutely. King George V in 1920 came to Australia. He fixed it all up. Queen Elizabeth in 2008 said she upholds all of her great-grandmother's letters patents. There goes your Australia Act, your Treaty of Versailles, the United Nations, and all those lies and nonsense that this Parliament, pretending to be a government, and that's all they are, has done. They're a pack of traitors. The whole lot. They are coming down, and they are going to go down and stay where they are. Every single traitor in this country. Every fraud has wiped out everything you've ever done, and everything you've done is fraud. Comprehend what I'm saying. We can't have an election to elect a fraud. If you take part in it, if you've already done, we need a lawful rebellion, how to vote card to expose the criminals. No, sorry, Adam, that's not correct. Vote how I said. I put a lot of thought into it. If you don't agree, then just do what you want. From a historical perspective, settled on a fraud, established on a fraud, and ever since been a fraud. No, it wasn't settled on a fraud at all, Stephen. They put together a constitution that served everybody. Everybody, didn't matter what colour. And it did recognise the fact that Aboriginals had to be, or natives, for want of a better word, had to be educated so that they could comprehend. They knew the situation, they were there. All this supposition and the book Red Over Black and all the rest of the things and the Aboriginal corporations that absorb every cent donated to the Aboriginal cause by the Parliament is absorbed and wasted and never given to the people who should get it, none of that should be. It should be removed. Why? It should be administered so that the people in the communities get the money. How can they fix things in their community when the corporations are blowing all the money and it's not going to them? Wake up, you people. Everything you need to correct the problems in this country is in your constitution. This document. This one. As proclaimed and gazetted. You can say there's a lot of things afford. Yeah, I agree. What was that? Oh, somebody said, I'll answer you after in relation, hand in your letter. When you hand in the letter, you do not get your name crossed off. They don't have to sign it. If they do, good. If they don't, who cares? It doesn't matter. As long as you've got a copy signed by you with a date on it, you've got the evidence that you went there to vote. And that's what you're stating. You went there to vote. So you haven't breached their so-called act, which is a fraud anyway. Stop worrying about, I might get a fine. You can't have a law that contains a fine. Who said so? The framers of the Constitution. Read it. Read it. You can't. Can't have a monetary value on it. As simple as that. The problem is people are trying to find a complicated way of fixing a problem. The simple way is to attend, say you've attended, to vote. There are no lawful candidates. Then the only question they have, Adele Gibbs, I will not go vote. Don't pull that because you will get fined as they find out. I will not vote because I'm Welsh. All right, Michael. Good. Yeah, would it be best turning up with 2 letters the same, one for them and one for you? Yes. Do 3 letters, so you've got one for you. So if you send one in with your so-called fine and they ignore it and put you before the court, because don't pay it, your only defence is, I went there. Why get 3 signatures? I didn't say you get 3 signatures, and I don't know why someone would say that. You're replying to Lee Moran. You don't need any signature except your own. You're the one making the observation. You are the lawful candidate. You're the lawful voter going there. You are. If you go there and you tell them you've been there, they have to prove you weren't. Your letter states you were. Surely you can talk to someone there or take someone with you who took you to the door. That proves you were there. So if it ever push came to shove, they're not going to get their money. Besides, who's going to collect it? Who's going to collect the money? The Electoral Commission doesn't exist. The law says it's got to be done by the governors of the states. And it's the representatives of each state create the parliament. The representatives of each state create the federal parliament. That's why if you've only got 5 or 4 or 3 or 2 or 1, you've got nothing. You need 6 states. It says when the colonies become states. When the colonies become states. Read your constitution. Stephen Gunn, 1 signature or mark at least to cover but take both letters in, just put the time and date you attended there. That's all you need, because they can't prove you weren't there. And if they have security cameras, which I think they all have, they would know you were there. And they would have to produce that, and say, look at this, you weren't there. I don't care, I was told 3 signatures was as good as a JP. No, you don't need to, mate. All you need to do is go in there, hand them a letter and say, I've got this one, and you write on the back of it, I attended at that date. And if they get smart, then, well, they know you attended and they know you signed it how you had served it. That's you attending the vote. Yes, if they say you didn't, you don't have to prove on their list. You have to prove you just went there. Oh, we're not requesting to strike my name off. No, do not do that. That's not a good thing. Okay? Good, Stephen. That's a good way. Look, I could go on all day, but I'm not going to. The fact is, we have no seat of federal government. We have no federal government. We never have had. And I've shown you in the doc. Anyone wants these documents, can't find them, contact us and we can email them straight to your email. You've got them then, the whole lot. And my wife will send it on Messenger to you. You'll have it all straight away. And then they can't deny the truth. But what we've put up is the truth. There is no lawful parliaments in this country. None. Not one. And we certainly do not have a seat of government. And I'll explain that. I haven't finished explaining to people. Right up until polling day, they can. This is not a political announcement. This is the people telling the government, shove it, you've got it wrong. Correct the problem before you all eventually stand trial for treason. And I promise you that's going to happen. It's going to happen. We are not. Hmm. Okay, Michael, thank you. Tim Roberts, thank you. And to all those who commented on here, thank you. Even the one who did whatever she calls it, thank you for your evidence of your level of intellectual ability. Thank you. And you've been removed, so have a nice day. All of you understand we cannot vote for these clowns to get in. They are stealing this country and giving it to other people. Why? To further their whatever their beliefs are. They can have the beliefs, they just can't inflict them on us. They're there to serve us, not to tell us what to do. Have a lovely day, and I hope you celebrate Anzac Day, one of the most important days in this country where we remember and we don't forget what so many people did for this country. And be vigilant in what you think and do. See ya.